안녕하세요. 여러분의 한국어 선생님 고빌리입니다. Recently, I released another new batch of Korean language cheat sheets, bringing the grand total to 20 cheat sheets. To get all of them, just click the link in the video description to join my Patreon page and select the free tier. You can download all 20 of them. They're JPEG images, and it won't cost you a single cent. But it will save you a bunch of time studying Korean. In fact, while you're on my Patreon page, you can also get some other cool freebies like my Korean study notebook pages with 13 designs, and I'll also put links to those in the video description box below. Or if you're one of my paid Patreon members, I also have an extra bonus for you. You can download all 20 of my cheat sheets all at once in a single zip file. And you'll get not just the JPEG images from my free tier, but also higher quality PNG images, as well as PDF files, which you can use on any of your devices, or even to print out really big like a poster. You can also get extra benefits like my personal vocabulary deck, podcast transcripts, lesson outlines and worksheets, exclusive Patreon-only posts, and a lot more. And if you're able to support me by joining my Patreon, even if it's just for $1, it really helps me to keep doing what I love to do, which is teaching Korean and making content like this. Okay, so now let me show you all 20 of my cheat sheets briefly so that you can see what you're going to get. First is the Korean alphabet, Hangul, with every single letter, all consonants, vowels, and diphthongs in alphabetical order, along with their names, stroke order, alternate ways to write the letters, and tips for how to pronounce them. At the bottom, you also get all 6 types of syllable blocks for organizing consonants and vowels, as well as notes for how to practice pronunciation. It's everything you could possibly need for reviewing the alphabet and perfect for a brand new beginner. Next, this is the cheat sheet I wish that I had the most when I was a beginner, and that's all of the sound change rules. Basically, these are all of the rules that can change the sound of how something is pronounced, and hopefully these rules will be much easier for you now. Now, this cheat sheet took me the most time to make because there are really a lot of sound change rules, but I managed to condense every single one and combine them together into just one page. I also even added a few lesser-known sound change rules that you probably won't find organized anywhere else, such as a sound change rule that happens with the letter nian, as well as one that happens when pronouncing certain syllables that originally come from hanja. Next is also a list of rules, and that is for conjugating, specifically for making the yo form, which is the most common verb ending that you're going to be using when speaking. So it has all of the different types of verb stems that you're going to encounter and some of the most common verbs to memorize, like how hada becomes heu. And every exception is also marked with an asterisk, so you can save your time when you're conjugating these. And that's pretty much it. They're all on here on one page. This next one is packed with information about all of the markers, so the subject marker, topic marker, and object marker, as well as most of the common particles that you're going to encounter. And a few of the particles can be a bit tricky, but I've included how they can be used and even different uses for some of them. For example, the particle 으로 has several different uses, and I've condensed the 4 most common uses here. Next is a cheat sheet all about the dates and seasons. It covers all the days of the week, the names of the months and seasons, and a bunch of common and essential vocabulary that you're going to use when you're talking about or asking about the date. It also teaches how to count years, months, weeks, days, and there's an entire section at the bottom which lists all of the most important holidays in Korea, both on the Western calendar and on the lunar calendar, which can change every year, with a short summary of each holiday. And the next one is all of the most common postpositions, which is basically like an English preposition. So a word like inside, outside, between, under, and a bunch more. But in Korean, these are used after the word instead of before the word. And not only that, but some of these can also look similar. So I've included comparisons between some of the more common ones, like how both 아래 and 밑 can mean under or below, and how 안 and 속 can both mean inside. And I put simple drawings for each one so you can quickly tell the difference without even having to read them. Okay, next are two cheat sheets that go together, and they're both for changing verbs into adjectives. One of them is for changing action verbs into adjectives, and the other one is for changing descriptive verbs into adjectives. And the reason there are two of these is because there are several exceptions that you normally need to just memorize, but I put all of them together for each of these cheat sheets, as well as how to make adjectives in every tense. So these two cheat sheets together should help save you a ton of time. For example, the descriptive verb 맵다, meaning to be spicy, can change into 매운 in the present tense, so you can have like spicy kimchi, or the action verb 좋아하다, meaning to like, could change into 좋아하는, so you can have like 김치를 좋아하는 사람, meaning a person who likes kimchi. And since these two cheat sheets also teach all of the different tenses, you can do all of this in the past tense, present tense, future tense, and with the ending 던, which is a more advanced concept, but it's here for when you're ready. And if you're wondering when you'll ever need the other tenses, it's because these adjectives are used when you're going to say I think, and they're super common, so these will definitely come in handy every single day. Okay, next is a cheat sheet all about the numbers. It teaches all of the numbers as well as both number systems, so pure Korean numbers and Sino-Korean numbers, along with a detailed guide for when to use each system. And there's an explanation for how to make really large numbers as high up as you want to go. And there are common exceptions for the numbers, such as how the numbers 1 through 4 and 20 can have unique versions, as well as pronunciation exceptions. So it's everything that you'll ever need to know about numbers and a lot more. Okay, next is a cheat sheet about time. You get all of the basics like how to read the time, including hours and minutes and seconds, as well as how to say to and from, a day or a time. And the entire bottom section is about how to say before and after. And there are several versions, including 전 and 후, which are the most basic, but there's also a more advanced way of using 이전 and 이후 that you might not know, but it's summarized really clearly here, so you can just kind of look at it and learn it pretty quickly, I think. And there's also a lot of useful vocabulary for telling the time that's useful for all levels, like how to say half a day, or instead of just 2 o'clock, to say 2 o'clock sharp. Okay. The next one is a cheat sheet for the counters, which are words that are used when you're counting things. For example, 명 is for counting people and 장 is for counting flat objects. And there are a ton of these in Korean, but I've chosen the most common and the most useful ones, as well as marked them which number system each counter uses. Now, most of them will use pure Korean numbers, but the bottom row here is for Sino-Korean numbers, and I've grouped them together. I've grouped similar ones so that it's easy to locate which one you're looking for. Now, not all of these counters are beginner level. There are also a good amount of more advanced ones, so this should be useful for all levels. Next is a cheat sheet that I spent several days just figuring out how to organize, and that's colors. Because if you've ever walked down the paint aisle at a hardware store or looked through a box of crayons, you know that there can be like thousands of colors. But fortunately, in Korean, you only need to memorize a few dozen, and all of the most common ones are here. Some of the colors can also have multiple names, so I've included that too, like 초록색 and 녹색. Both mean green, and there are notes about when you'll use each one. And there are also notes for how to make more variations of these colors, using words like bright, or dark, or soft, or strong. So you can use this cheat sheet to make more shades of all of these colors, like bright green or dark red. Okay, next is a cheat sheet for the most common sentence endings. These are for beginning level learners, and all of them come together with the rules for how to attach them, and a few of these require some special rules or have multiple uses, but everything is organized so it's easy to use. For example, the ending 네오 can be used to show surprise, but it can also be used to show that you agree with someone. And the ending 대오 has 3 uses for showing contrast, introducing background information, and inviting a response. And every different usage for all of these forms also comes with example sentences. Next is sentence structure. This is everything you need to know for how to make longer sentences, including the basic subject, object, verb order, and everything is broken down in detail. There's a section about where to put the time and the location, as well as how you can rearrange parts of your sentence, how to connect together longer sentences, and there's a section all about the particles and markers, a section about using postpositions, adjectives, and an entire bottom section about all the different types of adverbs. Finally, there's also a list of some really common vocabulary words that are useful when you're making sentences, such as the parts of speech, verb stems, verb endings, and the words for like a noun or word order, and a lot more. And all of these words will be really helpful when you're trying to search for grammar information or trying to ask questions to a native speaker. Okay, the next one is about future tense, and I've included all 8 of the most common future tense forms. This has all of the most standard forms, like the 겠다 ending, like when you're saying 하겠습니다, as well as the 것이다 ending, like when you say 할 거예요. And the others are future tense forms that are used for different situations, like for making suggestions, for deciding to do something, or intending to do something, or wanting to do something, as well as some more advanced forms that are used for making assumptions. The next sheet is for making honorific speech and humble speech. The top has an overview of just when to use each one, and below that is an entire section for making the honorific verb ending 으시다, as well as all of the verb exceptions you'll need to know. And the bottom part has a section about unique honorific verbs, honorific nouns, and honorific particles, as well as a tip for how to use honorific speech when you're talking about an object instead of a person. And finally, there are 2 more sections at the bottom about using humble verbs and humble nouns. Next is a cheat sheet about passive verbs. The top section is how and when to use passive verbs, and below that is all of the different types of passive verbs, starting with the major 4 types: 이, 히, 리, and 기. And below that, you'll also learn about more types, such as passive verbs that use 되다, 나다, 당하다, and 받다, as well as how to make your own passive verbs using the ending 치다. And there's a section about double passive verbs and how those are used. Next is a cheat sheet about causative verbs. The top section is, of course, how and when to use causative verbs and how to make your own causative sentences. And below that is all of the different types of causative verbs, starting with the major 7 types: 이, 히, 리, 기, 우, 구, and 추, as well as some other unique causative verbs. And there's an explanation for how to use the causative verb 시키다, which attaches after nouns. Next is a cheat sheet all about nominalization, which means changing a verb into a noun, so like the ing form in English, but also a lot more. So you can change the verb 수영하다, meaning to swim, into a noun and say something like I like swimming. But you can also do a lot more with nominalization, and this cheat sheet is separated into 3 sections, one for each different way that you can change a verb into a noun, along with when and how to use each one. For example, the 는 것 form is the most common way for when you want to describe a verb, like to say I like swimming or swimming is fun, or the 기 form is used in many grammar forms, and I've included many of the most common forms that you'll see it in. And finally, the last form is used to change a verb into a completely unique noun. And I've included a lot of common and useful examples which you can simply memorize. Okay, and last but not least, the next cheat sheet is about quoting and making quotes. Basically, how you can repeat what someone says. And the first section is just a review of how to make the plain form, which you'll use for making basic quotes, as well as a small section that has the most common verbs that are used with quotes. And below that are sections on how to make quotes for commands, questions, and suggestions. And for those of you who are a little bit more advanced, there's also a section for how you can make short quoting forms, which are useful in informal speech and can sound a bit more natural, as well as an explanation for when you can use these. So it's everything you need to make any type of quote. And that's it. Again, just click the link in the video description where you'll join my Patreon page and download all 20 of these cheat sheets. Now, if there's enough interest, I have more ideas to make new cheat sheets after these, so let me know if you have any suggestions in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, as well as to my new Patreon supporters, and I'll see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐!